Miss Terry from the Carnegie Library, and today we are doing our STEM craft. We are going to make kinetic sand. And if you don't know what that is sand that whenever you press it together, it actually stays together. It's also known as moon sand. I tried to make it earlier and I made a lot of mistakes. So let's hope that it works out this time. So the things that you will need are a cup of sand, and white fine grain sand works best, but it also works with playground sand, although your colors will not be as vibrant if you're using color. You will need a container for your dry materials, a container for your wet materials. I like to use a baking pan for all my materials so that I don't get everything everywhere. You'll need some water, some cornstarch, food coloring, fine grain glitter if you want glitter, but it's not required, dish soap, and various measuring tools such as a 1/4 teaspoon measuring spoon. You'll need 2 tablespoon measuring spoons. So in other words, a tablespoon, but 2 of them. 1 teaspoon measuring spoon. And I like to use a glove because you're going to be messing around with food coloring and it can stain. So let's get started. The first thing you're going to do is you are going to combine your dry ingredients in your dry bowl. So you'll put your sand in, then you will put your cornstarch in, which is going to be 1 tablespoon of cornstarch. Last little bit doesn't want to come out, probably because it was a little bit wet. All right, then our glitter, and that's going to be 1 tablespoon. Now, if you don't want a tablespoon of glitter, you don't have to put a tablespoon of glitter. It's all up to you. If you don't want glitter at all, you don't have to have glitter at all. I like glitter. And when I'm up at the Carnegie, I don't get to have glitter because we don't really allow glitter. Because as every parent knows and every teacher knows, glitter is the devil to get out of stuff, including carpet. So when I can play with glitter, I play with glitter. So we put that in there. And we will mix that together. And it makes a terrible sound, but that's okay. If you see any pieces that are stuck together, you want to kind of break them apart. Sometimes the cornstarch kind of sticks together in little clumps. You want to get all that glitter kind of mixed in. If you can, you don't really want to see any of the white cornstarch. And I've got too much glitter in one spot. So that's kind of like what mine looks like right now. You can also kind of move it back and forth to kind of mix it up a little bit. I've got a couple of pieces of leaf in there because this sand was in my garage. You can also filter your sand if you want to through a little strainer thing. All right, I think that looks good. So now we're ready to do, excuse me, my nose itched. Now we're ready to do our wet ingredients. So we will start with 1 tablespoon of water. One teaspoon, which is TSP, don't get them mixed up, of dish soap. And I'm just going to use this spoon, measuring spoon, as a spoon to kind of mix it up. And then we're going to use 1/4 teaspoon of coloring. And I used blue last time when I kind of messed it up. I think I'll use red this time. And you can get creative too, and you can do 2 different batches and do 2 different colors if you want. It's up to you. That's really red. Almost as red as my hair. Okay, so you want to mix it together. You don't want to mix too vigorously, because if you do, it'll form bubbles, and you don't want to form bubbles. So just kind of mix it back and forth and make sure you kind of get that dish soap kind of mixed in with the water and the food coloring. You don't want any of the soap kind of sticking to the bottom. So just keep mixing. And basically any child can do this if you trust them around food coloring. Just remember that food coloring is permanent if it gets on your clothes. All right, so I think we are now ready to start mixing. This is where our STEM comes in, right? This is science, technology, engineering, and mechanics, I believe. So we're gonna mix this liquid into, I don't know, sand is not really a solid, it's more of a powder. And the liquid will actually join with this powder and kind of make a solid that conforms to any shape. Hopefully. But last time I did this, my liquid formed with my sand and actually became a liquid. So hopefully we don't have that problem this time. Actually, put this on the wrong hand. This is when I put the glove on, because I'm going to kind of squeeze the color in the sand with my hands, and I don't want the color to get all over my hands because it can discolor your hands for a little while too. And I'm going to put the color in with a thing. If you hear a scratching at the door, just ignore it. It is my dog who wants in, and he can be really annoying. Okay, so we put a little bit in and we're gonna squish it. Squish, 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 squish. And we want to get around the edges where the dry sand is and kind of squish it all together, because we want to make sure all that color is getting everywhere, okay? It's going to need more because it's not sticky yet, but I will show you what the color looks like. And it's kind of not red yet, it's kind of an orangish color. Okay, so we're going to squish some more. Again, get all those edges to get that part that doesn't have color. And you also want to mix all that glitter in too, you know. And it's starting to form. This is more of a pink than a red. So I'm gonna put the rest of it in here. It kind of has a nice smell to it from the Dawn too. So if you have dish soap that has nice smells to it, like apple or whatever, that's good too. So still mixing together. Still mixing together. Still mixing together. Hopefully we won't be disturbed by anybody because we're still mixing together. And it was too much liquid yet again. I don't think this recipe is a good one. Look at that. It's mush. Mush. So back to the drawing board. I thought it was because I added too much water last time. But I didn't add any extra water this time, and it still is mush. So, thinking scientifically, I have to think that the original recipe that I'm following has allowed too much water that makes it more like concrete and less like kinetic sand. So, my hypothesis would be that if you add too much water, your kinetic sand becomes like wet concrete. And my hypothesis would be correct. So this is a bust, but that's all right. My suggestion to you would be to use less water, like maybe a half tablespoon of water instead of a tablespoon. So I will put that in the instructions whenever I post this video. So not all is lost, guys. Not all is lost. We have learned something. So thank you for joining me for today's craft time. And I will put better instructions on it so that you can kind of experiment at home with it and try to come up with good kinetic sand, okay? Thank you for joining me. I will see you next time with a better craft. See you later. Bye-bye.